Tanner Realty Group. Thank you so much for joining us of our live buyers webinar. This week's webinar, it will be presented again on Friday at 7 p.m. So if you missed this webinar, feel free to join us then. You'll replay then. Feel free to watch it, ask any questions if you have any. We have quite a bit of information to go through today, so let me pull it up and we will walk through it. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat at any time, and we will go from as many questions as I can. If I'm unable to answer your questions during this webinar, I will reach out and make sure that your questions are answered. So let's get right into this. So once again, my name is Austin Cassity. Great to have you here. If you are watching, you're eager to buy a home or figure out how to buy a home, answer the questions you may have about buying a home. We're just glad you're here. This is the proven path to home ownership. With the market shifting currently, it is difficult to get the right information about our current market. And that's why I'm here, is to share stats, statistics, and just the buying process and what it looks like in today's market. So let's jump right in. Like I said before, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Main question to focus on: what do you want to learn about the home buying process? Education is very important, and that's why we put what do you want to learn, not just know. It's a continual education of buying a home. What we'll cover today, number one, the fears versus facts about buying a home in today's market, the realities of our market today, the 6 simple steps to home ownership, financing, and then what are your next steps. Fears versus facts. So let me just some misconceptions about buying a home first. Number one, I can't afford to buy a home right now. And until you do the math, you don't know what you can or can't afford. If you're paying rent, you could also be paying a mortgage. You're paying someone else's mortgage currently. That doesn't mean everybody that's renting needs to buy a home right this second. Everyone has a different circumstance. However, if you look at it and you consult with me, I would be able to help you navigate when might be a good time for you to buy a home. Number two, I should wait until the market gets better. Well, there's never a bad time to buy the right home. And my job is to help find a good buy and ensure you have the financial ability to hold on to it, because every market has an opportunity. It may just be a little bit harder to find, and that's why you hire an agent, because it's hard to do it alone. Excuse me. And over time, the investment in your home grows no matter what the market may be. Number three, I don't have the money for a down payment. And there's a variety of down payment options available to people through lenders. The myth of the 20% down payment is no more. There's loan options with as low as 3% down nowadays. Number four, I can't afford to buy my dream home. Well, the best way to get to buying your dream home is to buy your first home. A lot of us want to buy our dream home as our first home, and it's not realistic sometimes. You need to start building up your equity through your first home, maybe a second home, and then continue to save up. Go through your real estate investing journey to get your dream home. It's generally not your first home. Number five, I can't afford to home because my credit isn't very good. Well, there's always options, and shame doesn't bring you any closer to owning your home or having good credit. And there's typically 2 types of credit issues we see, or challenges we see with buying a home, and that's poor credit history or no credit history. And both have solutions. Even if you have poor credit, you should still be able to talk to lenders, and they should be able to map out a plan for you to be able to purchase a home in the time frame it's going to take to repair your credit or get you worthy for a mortgage. Number 6, I should wait until I'm certain about my domestic future. And people always think, well, I need this new job. I need this before I move into my first home. In reality, you're just putting off your dream home. Like I mentioned before, getting into your first home can be the first stepping stone to get to your dream home. And by always putting fear in front of getting into your first home, you'll never build that wealth. Number 7, buying a home seems way too complicated. And I'm not here to tell you that buying a home is going to be easy, and no one should ever tell you that. However, that's why you partner with professionals like myself who are committed to acting in your best interest. From myself to your mortgage officer, we absorb a lot of the complexity of the home buying process and simplify it for you. Number 8, I should pay off my student loans debt before I buy a home. Well, student loan debt doesn't prevent you from buying a home. If you're making your payments on time, you are earning and preserving good credit. This is good in the eyes of the lender. And so you still may be able to qualify based on your debt to income ratio. If you don't at that time, the lender can talk to you about how you can be able to qualify. So why should you buy now? Well, home ownership may be one of the best accidental investments a lot of people make. And with a little bit of knowledge can be one of the best intentional investments. My job is to help you understand these factors through education about buying a home so you can get into a really good investment and make it intentional. I'll go into more detail about this throughout the session. So number 1, why buy now? Well, interest rates are still relatively low. Although they have increased since the lows we saw back in 2020 and 2021, they're still relatively low, around 5 to 7%. In the past 45 years, 30-year fixed rate mortgages have ranged from 18.63% in 1981 to the recent lows we saw. And in the past 5 years, rates have remained around 4%, dipping beneath the 3% in 2020. Now they're at about 5 to 6% for a 30-year fixed rate on a personal loan there. So that the interest rates rising shouldn't necessarily stop you. We want to make sure it's still affordable for you, and starting in your real estate investment now can save you thousands in the future. So by investing now, your long-term investment gets to grow, and it grows through equity buildup, value appreciation of the home, pay down through your mortgage. Also, when you buy a home, you get to have pride of home ownership. You have stability and security in where you're going to live and your payment. Rent continues to go up. Well, if you get a mortgage now, that's a commitment for 30 years to stay the same. You get the sense of community of the people around you, a freedom to customize. If you're renting, you can't even paint your own walls sometimes. You get tax benefits, and you start to build wealth. So even though there's a lot of great reasons to buy right now, there's also a lot of reasons not to buy. Number 1, if you're changing your job soon, this affects your ability to get a loan because lenders want 2 years of employment records with one company. So if you're changing jobs or you just recently changed your job, talk to your lender, see what they can do for you. Number 2, if you need time to work on your credit score, or you have a lot of debt, not enough of down payment, you just need to make a budget and kind of go through that and maybe hold off on buying right this second. However, that doesn't mean you can't start educating yourself and getting ready for that home purchase down the road. Another reason to hold off is homes are too expensive. You don't want to get into a house, your monthly payment be so high that you're what's considered house poor, where you can barely support yourself, but hey, I have a house, right? Well, you want also a stability and financial stability where you're going to be able to feel comfortable in your own home. Lastly here, short-term ownership. If you plan to stay in your home for less than a couple years, well, you may not have enough time to build up the equity to where then when you go to sell your home, you're not going to be able to either make a profit on it or you're going to take a loss, because there are real estate fees when you go to sell a home and you haven't had enough time to build up that equity. So now we're going to get into the realities of our market. In our market, the average home price is over $500,000 now. And a few years ago, that was not the case. We've seen a mass appreciation in home values in our area. And now we get to classify what our market is, whether it's a buyer's or seller's market. I'm sure you've heard this going around a lot, saying that it's a seller's market, and it is, and we'll get into that in a second. But let me explain what a buyer's versus seller's market is first. So a buyer's versus seller's market is a measure of supply and demand, how many houses are available for sale at any given time, and the number of buyers. Our market currently favors the sellers because of inventory, and we're starting to see more inventory go on with the increase of interest rate hike. the buyer pool has shrunk and with more inventory. So we're starting to see the buyers regain some leverage in the negotiations of homes. So we're starting to see a shift, but because of inventory, we are still technically in a seller's market. Now let's get into the 6 steps of home ownership. And these are easy. Number 1, hire your agent. 2, secure pre-approved financing. 3, find your home. 4, make an offer and negotiate. 5, get a home inspected and negotiate repairs. 6, close and be a homeowner. But there is another step, step 0, if you will, and that's to head over to realtygroup.com. If you want to start looking at homes, you want more information about buying a home, we have content on there. We have a blog as well. Feel free to check that out. Ton of information there. And you're in the right place. This is a step 0 as well, starting to get educated about the market. So step number 1, find and hire your agent. So as your buyer's agent, and a good buyer's agent will educate you about the market, analyze your wants and needs, steer you to homes that fit your criteria, not homes that aren't even what you're looking for. They're showing you 3 bedrooms when you need 5. I will show you homes that fit your criteria that you need in the areas you need. Coordinate the work of other professionals like inspectors, like title companies. I can work with your lender as well. Negotiate on your behalf and solve any problems that may arise during the contract. But what's really important is to do your research when choosing your agent. Ask about their experience and knowledge of the market and their negotiating skills. What you'll find is sometimes agents, they're not up to date with what's going on in the market. And it's really important that they're up to date because it can cost you thousands if your agent isn't knowledgeable about today's market. Once you find your agent, you're going to be signing a buyer's representation agreement. And what this does is it sets mutual expectation in writing. It commits me to finding the perfect home for you. And it's an exclusive agreement between the 2 of us that we are going to work together. So when should you hire your agent? Well, it depends on your scenario, really. And I'm going to go through an example on the next slide that goes through the timeline of a transaction, and we kind of work backwards to when you should start talking to your agent. The best time to start talking to your agent, though, is as early as possible. They're going to help coordinate everything throughout the transaction from first meeting all the way to closing, and they should be following up afterwards too, making sure you're protecting your investment. So that's really when is as soon as possible. However, we're going to backtrack here and I'll walk through the timelines. So we're going to start at the bottom here and work our way up. First, let's say you're renting. Your last lease payment, you want it to be January 1st. And that means you need to move out of your apartment or the home you're renting by February 1st. And that means you need to move into your new home by February 1st. Okay, well, you need to take ownership and close on that home probably a few days or maybe even a week, 2 weeks before you need to move out of your rental. So let's just give you a couple days. Say you don't have too much stuff. You just want to move in January 6th. Well, you need to be under contract by December 26th. With lending right now, it takes about 30 days to close on a home with traditional lending. So that puts us at December 26th. You want to give yourself some time to look at the market so you're not just buying anything and the first thing that comes up. You want to be able to be slightly particular about what you're getting into because it is a big investment and it's a long-term place where you're going to live. So we'll start looking about a month in advance, if not longer before that. Before you start looking, you will need to get a pre-approval from your lender. And that can happen anywhere before you start looking, really. And we generally would recommend a few months before, just in case there's some things you need to take care of on your credit or you need to continue to save for a down payment. You just want to be prepared. So having your finances in order and getting that pre-approval around the September timeframe is a great target to shoot for. And that means you start working with me or your agent, probably that August to September timeline as well. Your agent should be helping you get pre-approved through a lender, getting you connected with them, giving you all of their resources right away. So kind of that's the timeline of when you should hire your agent to closing. So step 2, secure pre-approved financing. I just kind of touched on that, and now let's get into it. So pre-approval and pre-qualification are two terms that are synonymous in kind of the general public sometimes. However, they couldn't be further apart. A pre-qualification is not a formal or lengthy process. It's simply a conversation with the lender. It's not a commitment from them to lend, and it's just a rough estimate of how much you can borrow. However, a pre-approval, which you will want, means you're ready to buy and puts you in a stronger position when making offers on a home. It's a formal application with the lender, a formal commitment from the lender to lend that amount, states how much you can borrow and at what rate, and makes you a stronger buyer in multiple offer situations. So how can you choose a lender? Well, you can get referrals. We can give you referrals, and interview all the referrals you get and choose the one who you feel most comfortable with, because they're going to walk along this home purchasing journey with you as well. Then you prepare a loan application and get approved, and then you need to determine what to pay and select a loan option based on the availability of those. A lot of times before you talk with the lender, you're going to want to make sure that you have a budget in place and follow it. There are a ton of budget worksheets online that you can go for. You can ask for a credit report from your lender if you don't already have one, and begin debt pay down, put that in the budget. You just want to make sure you're identifying your expenses and determining the amount that you can comfortably spend on your new home. And if changes need to be made, start making changes. It doesn't need to be all at once. It can be incremental, but starting the process is going to put you miles ahead. So when you have your mortgage, you're going to have 3 decisions to make: your down payment, the interest payment, and the term. The down payment is the first payment you make, and this will vary between 3% and 20% or more if you decide to put down more, and that's of the price of the home. The interest rate is the amount you have to pay on the loan, and like I mentioned before, they're between 5 and 7% right now, depending on the loan product. And then the term, the length of the time it takes to pay off the mortgage. And typically we'll see 30 years, but there are other options such as 15 years. Your monthly mortgage payment is made up of 4 components, and we call it PITI, P-I-T-I. It's the acronym of the components that comprise your monthly mortgage payment. P, principal, pays towards your equity on the home. I, pays the lender for the loan. T, or you, not I don't pay the lender for your loan. You pay the lender for your loan. T, taxes, the state and local entities for owning a home. And I, insurance, pays to protect your investment. So let's talk about the down payment. We're saying you can put down from 3% to 20%. Well, that's a huge range. How do I determine that? And it's based on your pre-approved amount, based on how much you can lend, how much you have up in storage or in savings. And depending on the loan, you'll be able to choose how much you put down. It will adjust your monthly payment and everything like that. So it's just a conversation with your lender of what's going to be best for your scenario. And where do these funds come from? They come from side jobs, savings. It can come from gifts from parents or in-laws. And your lender can help you with other options as well for any down payment assistance programs. Once you're pre-approved, you need to maintain the pre-approval throughout the home purchasing process. And what this means is no big purchases, no new credits added, no job changes, and protect your down payment. The worst thing is if you find your dream home or the home that you really, really love and you can't buy it because of one of these things, it's just always disappointing for the buyer. And we just want to make sure that you're educated about what can make you not as mortgage worthy. So step 3, now we get to have some fun looking for the home. So when you go to find your home, we're going to sit down prior to that and define what you're looking for, your needs versus your wants. I will continue to educate you about the market, statistics in certain areas, and make sure that you're educated about the area you're trying to buy in. And then we will refine your search. So I only send you properties that fit your criteria. And so we're not wasting your time looking at all of these properties that aren't even what you're looking for. So who has been looking at houses? Well, with real estate being so hot in the media recently, a lot of people have been looking at houses. Everyone looks at dream homes, the mega mansions. Well, when you start looking at houses, you need to start refining your search as well, and we can help that. However, uh, a lot of sites that you may be looking on don't have all the information, and that's why we recommend heading over to tannerrealtygroup.com. If there isn't information that you're looking for on that, we will be able to supply that for you, and we'll be able to access that. It pulls from our multiple listing service every 15 minutes, so you have the most up-to-date information. And if you need the link, feel free to let us know. So when we're out looking at houses, we're working for you. When you're looking at houses, you're going to be interested in the layout of the house, the backyard, the primary bathroom, amenities, primary bedroom, all of that. And as your agent, I'll be looking at how the house compares to others in the area and any big ticket items that are going to need repair to make sure that we're protecting your investment. Other things you'll want to watch out for when you're looking at houses are the neighbors. Are the yards maintained? Are the streets lined with cars? Do you feel safe? Are there nearby amenities? Stuff like that. So we talk a lot about single family homes, and these are detached homes, like a little 3-bed, 2-bath, kind of the classic image of a little home. And there's other options as well, such as condos or townhomes. And there's a lot of pros and cons to condos and townhomes as alternatives to these single family homes. And often first-time buyers or other buyers trying to downsize choose this option as a way to enter the market with something they can afford. So let's review real quick. The pros: it's a lower cost per square foot generally. There's no yard work or home maintenance because the HOA will generally take care of that. There's amenities such as swimming pools and playgrounds. That's part of your HOA. And there's generally a higher density of homes in that area, so you can have a tighter sense of community. The cons, however, are the shared ownership, the ownership of the space inside the building, so you own wall to wall of your own condo. The homeowner fees and shared maintenance costs can get kind of spendy with HOA fees, and it's managed by a board of directors and governed by rules around pets, vehicles, noise, etc. So if you're super independent, may not be the best option for you. However, you can always find a place that maybe has a less strict HOA, stuff like that. Another alternative would be new construction, and there's some good and not so good things about new construction as well. And a new build may also appreciate differently. So you'll definitely want to think about it before going into a new build. The pros, however, are they're new. They come with builder's warranties generally. You get to pick your lot, features, and design the home. You lock in your price from the start, and sometimes you can get pretty good deals with builder incentives and all of that. Some of the cons, however, features add to price. So if you continue to build or add on features, it will add to your price. It's not just a unlimited toppings ice cream bar. They'll add on the price and continue to upgrade you there. The future of the neighborhood is uncertain because generally it will be in outlying areas. There's no nearby amenities yet and no firm closing date because they're continuing to build. They'll have setbacks. They may accelerate faster, but then get a setback. So you never really know. Once we do find your home, you're ready to make an offer and negotiate to a successful close, and we will walk you through that. So when you make an offer, the first thing you need to look at is price. And to help you determine a fair price to offer on the home, I'll provide a comparable market analysis, or CMA, of other properties that have recently sold near the home that you're making an offer on. Then we're going to throw in the terms, and there's much more to an offer than just the price. The 6 details, which I'll help you navigate, are the schedule. So when will close, for example, convey appliance or decor options or items will remain or go. Commission, who pays the commissions or fees in our area, that's the sellers. Closing costs, who will pay. Home warranty, if the seller will provide one or not. The earnest money, which is a deposit paid to protect the seller from the possibility of the buyer pulling out of the deal. And other contingencies such as conditions that allow you to opt for inspections and everything like that, and opt out of the deal after receiving the inspection report. And everything is negotiable, and this is where my experience and knowledge will be a big help to you. And we also have the contracts for you. After we have mutual acceptance between the buyer and the seller, we get to do what's called our option period. And this is the inspection and repairs. And there's no such thing as a perfect home. And there will be some repairs needed, from leaky faucets to more costly issues. And you'll find all of this out with a proper home inspection. And then we'll negotiate repairs as needed. So during this option period, it's generally 7 to 10 days after the offer is accepted and mutual acceptance between the buyer and the seller. And the property inspection is made to expose any structural or hidden issues with the home. And we need to make sure during this time that we don't sweat the small stuff. Yes, sometimes a little thumbtack hole in the wall can be annoying. And when we're going through the inspection, we're looking at the big ticket items. And some of the big stuff, such as cracks and crumbling in the foundation, cracks inside the house or over windows, water stains in the ceilings or floors or walls, faded or worn shingles on the roof, plumbing or electrical issues, and then any mold or termite issues. Those are the big ticket items we're looking for. And just because they're present doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad house or the deal's going to fall through. It just gives you leverage for negotiation with the seller. Some things you want to run away from, some things you're going to want to just have the seller fix. And that's why we're there to help you negotiate. You don't want to buy someone else's problems. So after the negotiations there, we get to close and be a homeowner. There's just a few steps to round out the deal. So prior to closing, you're going to want to make sure that you keep yourself mortgage worthy. This goes back to maintaining your pre-approval and protecting your down payment. You'll also want to budget for some additional expenses, which you'll know ahead of time as well. Your lender is going to tell you about all these additional expenses. So you will have an. And number one, closing costs, that's generally 2 to 3% of the loan amount. Earnest money, which is 1% of the purchase price, that will get rolled into your down payment. The inspection generally costs between $300 and $600, depending on options, size of the house, everything like that. Some miscellaneous fees, 1 year of homeowner's insurance that will be put into your escrow account, and then any reserves for improvements that are immediate after you move in. 3 days before we close on your home, we're going to do a final walkthrough of the home. This is for when we negotiate repairs with the seller. We want to make sure that these repairs are done and they're done correctly. So we're going to do a final walkthrough before you sign on the dotted line and take ownership of the home, so you're not buying someone else's problems like mentioned before. So now it's time to celebrate, and we get to go to the title company and sign the closing documents and as a renter and come out a homeowner. So when you go to the title company for signing, you need to come with certified funds, evidence of insurance, and a valid ID for the notary. And what you get when you leave is a settlement statement, a transfer of clean title, and then the keys to your new home. Well, 1 second. They need to send the signed documents back to the lender. They send the funds, and then everything gets recorded at the county. That can generally be a few-hour process from after you sign, and you get your keys after you record with the county. But it is an amazing feeling once you're done signing. Well, you signed, it's your home. Now you need to make sure you're protecting your investment. You need to maintain it and perform routine maintenance on your home systems, depending on the age and the style. Keep an eye on it, looking for signs of leaks, damage, any big wearing. Fixing small problems early can save you a lot of money later on. Keep a file of your receipts of your repairs, especially for when you go to resell it. When you have big ticket items such as a roof, hot water heaters, HVAC, all of that. And then consider a home warranty. It could save you thousands of dollars. And if you have more questions about that, we can get into that in another conversation. And keep in mind, I continue to be your resource even after the deal closes. I can have recommendations for every kind of service person you may need over the years to keep your home in tip-top shape. So now we get to talk about getting started. Well, getting started is just reaching out to us. Go to tannerrealtygroup.com, message us in the chat. Feel free to text me, call me. I'll have my information up on the next one. And if you have any questions or aha moments about today's seminar, feel free to put those in the chat or reach out. I'd be happy to help. And before we get going, I also want you to remember my commitment to you when you're ready to get started in this journey. I commit to educating you about the market, analyzing your wants and needs, steering you to homes that fit your criteria, coordinate the work of professionals, negotiate on your behalf, and solve any problems that may arise during the process. So here's my contact information. Feel free to take it down. I will end this webinar with a quick video that kind of recaps everything we just talked about. So I'll be bringing that up here in just 1 second. Feel free to take down my information and we will go from there. Okay, give me 1 second. Here we go.
So, you're thinking about buying a home. There are a lot of people involved in the home buying process you should be familiar with. Real estate agents, lenders, inspectors, and escrow will all play a role in your home purchase. So let's talk a little about what these people do. You're going to want to find a real estate agent who is a realtor, because not all agents are. Realtors have a higher standard they are required to follow. Your realtor is going to research the right properties for you, run down appointments and showings, negotiate prices and contract terms, and take the time to answer any questions you may have. As a buyer, you'll want to have a different agent than the one who represents seller. With your own representation, you'll be working specifically for your interests. The great part for the buyer is the seller pays the commissions for both agents. That means you as a buyer pay nothing to your agent. Next, you'll want to contact the lender. Lenders can be banks, mortgage companies, and credit unions, and your realtor can give a few recommendations if you need them. The lender is going to ask you about your employment, your assets, and your income. And once you put together an application, they will work on getting your loan approved and getting you a pre-approval letter so you can then start house hunting. Once you and your realtor have found the perfect home for you and you make an offer, it's then time for you to hire an inspector. The inspector checks the exterior and interior of the home and will provide you with a written report on the home's condition. You can then decide if you want to ask the seller to make repairs and/or reduce the listing price to make up for any issues the inspector finds. Working in the background, we have escrow and title. The title companies do research to ensure the home's ownership can be legally transferred to you, and escrow manages the closing process according to your contract. They coordinate getting your down payment money and the bank's money safely to the seller, as well as getting you the legal title to the home. So that's just a quick introduction to all of the people involved in helping you buy a home. You'll certainly want to learn more, and remember, your realtor is the first point of contact for any questions you may have. We pride ourselves in beyond the call of duty for our clients, so please don't hesitate to ask us for help with anything you need. The buying process can be complex. Now, we hope this video has helped explain it a little more. Please call, text, or email us anytime, and we look forward to helping you find the perfect home.
Thank you again for joining us. Hope to see you next time as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.